Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is an action horror film from the USA, English language, released in the year 2026, directed by Kirill Sokolov, and this film is called They Will Kill You. So They Will Kill You is about a mysterious woman who turns up one evening and she's starting her new job as a maid at this hotel. When she gets inside the hotel, she meets her quirky workmates and she's told what she's going to have to do, but unfortunately there is a secret behind this hotel that's going to put her life in danger. But unfortunately for the hotel, she has a hidden reason as to why she wants to be a maid, and they're going to collide into a very bloody fight for survival, and what happens at that point on is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on They Will Kill You. Kirill Sokolov is a very, very interesting director, and he's a very underrated director because no one really talks about him. So many years ago I reviewed a film of his called Why Don't You Just Die. I gave that 4.5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It was balls to the wall Russian craziness. It was therapeutic violence. It was violence that you just basked at all the depravity that was splashed upon you. And it was entertainment with a capital E. And so ever since I saw that film, I was obsessed with Kirill Sokolov, but unfortunately his movies are very hard to get in Russia. And so when I finally realised he directed a film that is now being released in the United States on the mainstream circuit, I thought I have to give this movie an opportunity. When I saw the trailer, I thought this looks like another Why Don't You Just Die experience. This is going to be a caricature violent cartoon that I can just really enjoy. So as soon as it came out here in cinemas in Australia, again I was surprised that it got a theatrical release, and whenever a foreign director is able to do this, I'll always applaud that. And so as soon as it came out here in Australia, I bought a ticket and I watched it. And I will say that Kirill Sokolov brings his trademark entertaining style to this movie. It's not quite as good as Why Don't You Just Die, for reasons that I'll go into a little bit later, but what he keeps in this movie is that level of fun, level of entertainment. Movies like this don't really come around very often. Movies where you can just leave your brain at the door. It's not trying to get you with a second meaning. It's not trying to hit you with symbolism. It's just a far out crazy ride. And the craziness in this movie is amplified to a point where it just becomes, you have to see to believe it. So this is a film that has a very vibrant colouring. It feels like a comic book. It feels as though it is from a different dimension. And when the cathartic violence starts hitting you, you can't help but laugh. You have a massive smile on your face. And as far as these movies are concerned, the choreography and the action set pieces, I have a little bit of a problem with the action, but I will say that it is very hard hitting and very in your face. And there's a little twist to this movie that I absolutely loved, and this is where the horror element starts to come into it. So there's a few hidden surprises in this movie that I thought was a welcome addition. I thought the ending was completely insane. This is, the stereotypical Russian is a tough guy, a Russian that is a scary guy, and this movie really sums up that stereotype of Russia. Craziness, violent, and just really, really tough. And this is exactly what this movie is. You have the main character that is going on a one-man or one-woman army. She's fighting up against this evil, and there's a little bit of mystery to keep you entertained as far as what's going to happen next, but I still thought as though it had enough simplicity for you just to completely enjoy it with a bit of popcorn, a bit of friends, have a laugh, and just really relax, especially in today's climate where everything is very stressful. These sorts of movies are going to really relieve that stress. This is, as I said, cathartic violence. It's very, very practical effects. The violence in Why Don't You Just Die is what impressed me the most, and how gory it was, where in this movie has that same gore, and it has that same love to it. This is not cheap effects. This is actually something where I felt as though the director's in his comfort zone. So he's giving you this violence that is, it does alleviate a lot of the brutality because of the fact it's caricature and it's a cartoon, but you still can't help but flinch at some of what these enemies actually cop. It's a brutal onslaught from about the quarter of the way into the movie right up to the end. So the continuity and the consistency of the set pieces I thought was very impressive. The choreography I thought was fairly decent for the first half. And as I said, the twists and turns that come into this movie, they're crazy, but they're not convoluted to the point where you're not enjoying yourself. And so as each twist comes in, you just feel as though it's evolving into a crazy train ride. The train doesn't have any brakes and it's going to slam into the station, but you don't care about it. And so you want to brace for the impact, and when the impact hits you, you just have a massive smile on your face. So the cinematography is excellent. The acting, they have a lot of fun with these characters. These characters, as I said, they're cartoon. They're caricature, sort of larger than life individuals that really hit the screen, and it's just lambs to the slaughter. It's basically a game of cannon fodder, and that was something that I love, and that's something that is true to this director. So if you like Why Don't You Just Die, chances are you're going to like They Will Kill You. I thought as though the soundtrack was pretty decent, and it also had some fairly funny moments thrown in there as well. If I have issues with They Will Kill You, is I thought as though the actual characters, although they're larger than life, they were very forgettable compared to Why Don't You Just Die. Why Don't You Just Die was a family, a very dysfunctional family, I can still remember them. Whereas in this film, yes, the situation is completely insane and the situations are going to really stand in the memory, but the characters themselves, I thought as though they could have had a little bit more life to them. I thought they were crazy, but I just thought as though they didn't have enough personality to actually stand out in a film of this nature. And so that was an issue. And also the fact that this movie gets into the action very, very quickly. It really reveals itself very quickly. And Why Don't You Just Die, it was a little bit slower in the build-up. And so you never desensitize yourself to the gore and the violence, whereas this film, it starts a little bit too early. It almost feels like it had an attention deficit disorder. And so it wanted to get into the really good parts straight away, but unfortunately the biggest issue with that, eventually you become a little bit desensitized to it, and it does become a little bit repetitive. So it never derails it, but this is the striking negatives that I thought really brought it down compared to his first film. But pushing that aside, as I said, it is entertaining, it's a lot of fun. You definitely, movies like this need to be made more often, especially in today's world where everything is so serious and depressing. So this is a film that you're going to absolutely love. If you like this type of, far out, over-the-top violence, someone compared this to Kill Bill, a horror version of Kill Bill. And I will go that as far to say that because, it does have the brutality and it does have that otherworldly sort of feel. So if you like that kind of thing, definitely go out there and see this film. I'm going to give this movie 3.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies and I'll see you later.